What's up, dudes and girls? Today we have an excellent exercise tutorial. It is the Dumbbell Romanian Deadlifts. Now, this exercise comes straight from our newly released home gym workout program. If you want to find out more, make sure you click the link in our description. It is a 12-week program really focusing on the fundamentals and basics, barbells and dumbbells. So you can really use it anywhere, your home gym, a shop, even at a commercial gym. But make sure you check it out, and now it's on to the tutorial. Yeah. All right, it's on to the exercise, and we have our dumbbells right here. But first I wanna go over the differences between barbell and dumbbells, because probably the most common way of doing a Romanian deadlift is with a barbell. But today we're doing it with a dumbbell, and some people might wonder why. Why would you do dumbbell Romanian deadlifts? Now, the number one thing I would say is because dumbbells, they create more instability in the movement, or really in any movement, because with a barbell you have a solid object to push against or pull with, and you don't have to think about the movement quite as much as maybe you would with dumbbells, because now with dumbbells you have two independent objects in each hand, and now you have to really think about how stable and how even they are. If you're going into Romanian deadlift, you know, if one side's kind of coming down, all of a sudden it's an immediate connection to, oh, I have to really contract that shoulder or leg to be able to be symmetrical and make sure they're firing at the same time. So that's a good teaching tool with using dumbbell exercises. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing the dumbbell Romanian deadlift in comparison to the barbell Romanian deadlift. So both excellent movements, but the dumbbell is great to really test your stability and your ability to be able to really contract both sides evenly. So what does the Romanian deadlift work? If you're not too familiar with the movement, it's really gonna be focusing on your hamstrings and glutes primarily. It is working in hip hinging or hip extension and flexion there. So in the top position, you're starting here, hip flexion, getting that stretch in the hamstrings, the glutes, and then working in hip extension, firing and shortening those muscles so that way it pulls you back to the upright position. Now, the hip hinge is the main joint working there. So it's kind of more of an isolation movement than a compound. You're getting a little bend in your knees, but not much. So really working to isolate the hamstrings and the glutes. But with this exercise, you're holding a weight with your grip. So all of a sudden now, you are focusing on your grip strength. You're also focusing on retracting your shoulders. So you're getting a little bit of your traps, your lats involved, and your lower back and your core there. So all of a sudden this movement, as simple as it is in more of an isolation, it's working a lot of muscles in the body, because now you're having to stabilize your spine in that position. Really, contract the core, the glutes, the lats, lower back. So you're keeping that neutral spine, but now you're working in a movement to then extend and flex your hip section there. So excellent movement to really train pretty much like a full body movement, even though it's like the latter half of a deadlift. Now we want to go over some of the things to keep in mind when performing this exercise. So when you get into position, you're going to be grabbing a weight, and the starting position is the upright position. So this is when you get your feet all ready and all good. You want to have your toes pointed forward. You want just about a hip width stance, specifically so it's comfortable for you to get into that bent over position, and it's not going to feel too narrow or too wide. You don't want it too wide because your knees will start kind of collapsing in. So you want to get a very comfortable and neutral position, and just about hip width is usually the way to go. So starting position, you're just standing up. Now, what you're gonna be doing is flexing in your hips and pushing your hips back. So pushing your hips back. Now my knees are gonna be slightly bending, and the dumbbells are all of a sudden going to be dropping in front of me. You're gonna be keeping them very close to your thighs and knees. Now, getting down to this bottom position, you're going to be really feeling that deep stretch in the hamstrings. That's the point. And then you're going to be, as soon as you kind of hit that, that area where you're like, I can't really stretch anymore, I can't go down anymore. That's when you quickly extend upwards and forcefully and squeeze your glutes at that top position. So really get that good contraction at that top position. So now what you really want to focus on is a slow downward descent to really get those hamstrings working and feel that stretch. As soon as you reach that, boom, really get that nice, quick, forceful extension and squeeze. So that's pretty simple, but things you got to keep in mind, things that can go wrong in this exercise is one, the main one is going to be bending of the back. So when you're coming back, you're not pushing your hips back properly. You're keeping them tucked in. You're trying to pull it down. There's nothing happening in the hips, it's in the back. So the hips aren't moving, as you can tell. They're not really doing anything. It's the back that's doing most of the work. You want to stay away from that. It's all in the hips, as Tubbs would say, you know, it's all in the hips. It really is. So what you have to do is push those hips back, immediately push them back, and that's going to put you right in that proper position. Just stick your ass out. That's really what it comes down to. Stick that ass out and focus on almost like creating a little bit of an arch in your lower back. So that way it'll kind of rotate your hips. It'll create more stretch in the hamstrings, but also place your spine in a better neutral position so that way it's always safe. And that's immediately gonna kind of pull your chest up slightly too. So keep that in mind. Your chest kind of comes up, lower back arches, hips push back, boom. Better stretch, better safety for the lower back, and that is perfect. That's what you want. Another thing is don't reach with your shoulders or hands. So you're not trying to reach for the floor. And that's gonna round your back as well, more of the thoracic spine area, which thoracic spine flexion isn't as bad as lower back, bending or flexing, but still you wanna keep a nice contraction in your shoulders, really pull them back, and that's gonna contract your lats. It's gonna help stabilize your core as well. Not only your abdominals, lower back, but your lats really help keep everything tight. So same thing, tight, boom, pull your shoulders back, deep stretch, straight up. Now this is excellent. If you get all that down, you're gonna be feeling stable as hell, like just a big rock, just ready to pump that weight out. And that is one of the main reasons why we included it in our newly released home gym workout plan. 12 weeks, it's filled with these really simple but fundamental exercises. It's excellent, highly recommended. Please check it out, really proud of it. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial, and until next time, stay buff.